This is like scientifically studied and proven that human beings are actually not very good people. Okay? We're not very good.
Hi guys, before we jump in, I do have to apologize because the audio is a bit messed up in this video. I accidentally had the wrong mic setting, so it picked up lots of sound. So fair warning to anyone that might not like eating sounds, you will hear lots of them. And also there's gonna be quite a bit of noise as well. I try to get rid of most of it, but it's still there, so my apologies for this. I will be more careful next time. And next I have a super quick and exciting announcement. There has been a relaunch of the business bundle, and now it's even bigger and better. So the business bundle is a collection of e-courses and programs on different topics regarding starting your own business, being your own boss, turning your creativity into your job, growing your social media marketing, starting a YouTube channel, and just so much more. This bundle now has 96 courses included. That's around 20 more courses than last launch, and you'll get it for a one-time price of just $100. So 96 courses for only $100. That's just a little over $1 for each course. And to give you an idea of how amazing it is, each course, most of the courses are over $100 alone. And these are legitimate courses, guys. There's so much information and so much value. This is the final relaunch, and this will only be available until July 11th. So don't miss out on this, guys. Trust me, this is worth it. I'll leave more information below for you guys and also the link to purchase. It is seriously an amazing deal. And for those of you that purchased it last launch, don't worry, you will get access to the extra courses as well. You just have to simply log in and you'll see the additional courses added. Anyways, that is it for the announcements. Let's get started with this mukbang.
Hey guys, it's Rose and welcome back to Cheap Lazy Vegan and another mukbang. Today is another episode of Munching Mondays, which is my mukbang series. Mukbang is an eating show for those of you that don't know, and on Mondays I do mukbang videos. So if you guys want to eat with me on Mondays, then don't forget to subscribe. Oh, I'm so excited. So today, guys, we're gonna be eating something very delicious, okay? It's kind of random, but I needed to use up some pesto. So we have here a pesto linguine with some grape tomatoes. I just whipped this up because my mom made some really delicious vegan pesto the other day, and I've been, eating it little bits and pieces here and there. Little bits and pieces. Who has bits and pieces of pesto? Like what? Anyways, I've been eating pesto, just, a little bit. But I haven't actually made like a full-on pasta with pesto. So today I thought I would do that. Plus, I didn't want it to go bad. I mean, I feel like pesto would stay a long time in the fridge because it's like salty and oily, but who knows? Anyways, this is some pesto pasta. Homemade pesto with, lots of basil, lots of pine nuts, and instead of cheese, I think my mom actually used like some Daiya cheese, but you can also use like nutritional yeast. There are 1,000,001 recipes for vegan pesto, guys. Go look for one. Anyways, on the side here, okay, we've got my new favorite lazy thing, okay? This is buffalo soy curls. So basically it's just soy curls that I pan fried. Well, soy curls, for those of you that don't know, is like soy meat, and it's like dehydrated. So you have to rehydrate it with water, and then it softens, and then you can like pan fry it or do whatever you want with it. So I pan fried it with some vegan butter, and then I added some Frank's hot sauce. You guys know, okay? And it is so good. It is basically like eating chicken wings, but like minus the chicken, minus the wings, just deliciousness. Anyways, let's get started because I am so hungry and I can't wait to dig in. It's kind of hot today and I went for like a jog/walk sort of thing. Anyways, and now I am so hungry because, well, I exercised, okay? So this right here is the pesto with the green noodles. I feel like I'm gonna finish this in like 10 minutes. All right, so here is the first bite of the pesto with linguine. Wow. Pesto is so good. I need to grow a basil tree, okay? A basil plant. This is just too good. It's nice and oily, And oh god, you guys, I swear to god, there's no difference between a vegan pesto and just regular like dairy pesto. So make a vegan pesto, guys. All right, let's try this soy curl business, even though I know what it tastes like. It's gonna taste like heaven. So that is the soy curls tossed in lots of buffalo sauce. I'm telling you guys, this is so good. Oh, I also added a little bit of garlic salt. So I pan fried it, added a bit of garlic salt, and then tossed it in the buffalo sauce or the Frank's hot sauce. I have made this so many times. It's just so easy. I wish this was wine. So today, guys, I thought I would discuss something regarding veganism that I want to talk about. And I don't know if I have talked about this before. I feel like I have mentioned this topic, but I didn't really like delve into it that deeply. But I mean, I could be wrong. I feel like I always repeat myself, but I mean, who knows? So the last time I did an Instagram stories Q&A kind of thing, I do that once in a while. If you guys are interested, go follow my Instagram, okay? I did that and I got some questions regarding, you know, obviously I get a lot of really interesting, great questions. And one of the questions I thought would be, you know, a topic we could explore here on Mukbang, because sometimes Instagram stories, you know, it only gives me a few seconds and I cannot get my point across, okay? So the topic that I want to discuss is whether or not I believe that someone could be ex-vegan. Let me just have a bite, okay? The grape tomatoes go really well with this pesto. This is not a very usual combination, is it? Anyway, so what do I mean by this? I mean, as you guys know, we get a little falling out in the vegan community, you know? We get a few people quitting veganism and then the whole community freaks out. The world is over. Veganism's over. Oh my god. No, guys, it's okay. But then every single time somebody quits veganism, everyone kind of, not everyone, but a lot of people say something along the lines of, well, that person was never vegan. They were just plant-based. And I want to explore that topic today, guys. I want to explore that topic because I don't think that it is that simple, okay? With anything in life, there's a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Nuance? Is that the word? There's a lot of different factors to take into consideration. Not everything is black and white. In fact, very few things in life are black and white. This is one of those things. I do not believe, I'll just say it, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I do not believe that someone quitting veganism means that they were never vegan. To me, that does not really make sense, and I will explain why, okay, before you come at me, okay? First of all, let's explore the argument, right? So a lot of people will say, you know, if you go vegan, you've made the ethical connection because veganism and plant-based are two different things. I completely agree that veganism and plant-based diet are two different things. And I do think that it is important to distinguish between those two things to a certain degree and within, you know, the certain context, if you will. I don't think it's necessary in every single argument to say so-and-so was plant-based or so-and-so is vegan. There are certain cases where it is important to talk about the differences, but also sometimes I feel like the vegan community, we might take it a little bit too far in that, you know, if someone isn't like full-on vegan, then they're not welcome kind of thing. But that's a different topic. So anyways, I do think it is important to distinguish the difference between, you know, being a vegan and being just, you know, a plant-based dieter. However, I don't buy the notion that because somebody quit veganism, that they were never vegan, especially if they were talking about ethics, and while they were vegan, it appeared, at least to the public eye, that they were ethical vegans. And I know that people are going to say ethical vegan isn't, it's an unnecessary, what do people say? They say that there's no point of saying ethical vegan because veganism is about the ethics. Okay, I get it. Okay, they may have been vegan for ethical reasons, doesn't mean that they are going to continue to be vegan for the rest of their lives and continue that ethical way of living. Let me just have a bite and then we'll keep talking. Okay, so I feel like people dislike this video already. Pesto is one reason I could never go oil-free. You just gotta have the oil with the pesto. It's so good. The oiliness makes it so tasty. I really don't eat pesto enough. This is so tasty. So, the popular argument, once again, is that basically, if you are vegan, you've made the ethical connection. And once you've made that ethical connection, there's no way you could go back and, how do they say it? There's no way that you can go back because you've already made that ethical connection. And then, people like to say, it's like, if you, we're not racist, all of a sudden you're not going to just be racist or something along those lines. If you made the connection that racism is wrong, you wouldn't just, all of a sudden go back to saying that racism is right. I think that's the argument. And I am here to tell you guys that, unfortunately, as much as I want to believe that human beings are inherently good and that we will always do the ethical thing, I strongly do not believe that that is the case. And that is not just my opinion. This is like proven. This is like scientifically studied and proven that human beings are actually not very good people. Okay? We're not very good. You don't have to really delve too deep to find terrible behaviors in humans. The assumption that somebody, making a certain ethical connection would just continue that for the rest of their lives is a bit of a naive one, okay? It doesn't mean that they were never vegan or that they had never made the ethical connection. They may have made the ethical connection. Maybe they watched a documentary. Maybe they saw some slaughterhouse footage and, they may have made that ethical connection. However, we do not always behave ethically. There are so many instances where, I always say this, human beings will choose the socially acceptable route rather than the ethical one. This has been proven time and time again. There was that study, I don't remember exactly, but I think you guys will know because I think it's heavily cited. There's a study where they put people in an electrical chair, and then these were actors and it wasn't actually an electrical chair, but then they had to act like they were being shocked. And then in the other room, they put one person that was, the subject of the study, and that person could decide how strong the electrical shock would be. Oh my God, let me Google this. I'm not explaining this very well. You guys know what I'm talking about? The Milgram experiment. Here we go. Here's one example. This is just one example of a way in which we will not do things because we think it's right. You know what I mean? Okay. I know this is not a very good look on humanity, but I think we need to be realistic with the way that we approach, even vegan activism, to expect that we will always just, that human beings will always just act ethically. I think that's what I used to think, but I strongly believe that that is a more naive approach. I don't know, guys. Anyway, okay, let me read you. The Milgram experiment on obedience to authority figures was a series of social psychology experiments conducted by Yale University psychologist Stanley Milgram. They measure the willingness of study participants, men from a diverse range of occupations with varying levels of education, to obey an authority figure who instructed them to perform acts conflicting with their personal conscience. I can never say that word. Conscience? Am I saying it right? I never know. What a weird... English is a weird language. Anyways, participants were led to believe that they were assisting an unrelated experiment in which they had to administer electric shocks to a learner. These fake electric shocks gradually increased to levels that would have been fatal had they been real. The experiment found unexpectedly that a very high proportion of subjects would fully obey the instructions, albeit reluctantly. Milgram first described his research in a 1963. The experiments began in July. So basically, the results, let me just read you. In Milgram's first set of experiments, 65% of experiment participants administered the experiment's final massive 450 volt shock, and all administered shocks of at least 300 volts. Okay? Subjects were uncomfortable doing so and displayed varying degrees of tension and stress. Blah, blah, blah. So obviously this is just one example of people following authority figures, instructions, and one, small example of how we deal with social pressures. That's just one little thing, but there have been so many different studies that show, similar behaviors. You put, 4 people in a room, and then one person doesn't know what's going on, and then all other people know what's going on, and then they show let's say they show like a triangle, a picture of a triangle, and then, I can't cite these studies. They show a picture of a triangle, and then they ask the participants, what shape is this? And then 3 people are like, the 3 people that are in on it are like, oh, it's a circle. And then the last person, even though he knows it's a triangle, he'll say it's a circle. Okay, that's not exactly how it went, but something similar. Even though something was so blatantly obvious, he will just go with whatever the rest of the people said, because he doesn't want to be the weird one out. So what I'm saying is that human behavior isn't always in alignment with ethical behavior. Okay? Just because somebody made an ethical connection at some point of their lives does not mean that they can't possibly go back and change their mind, because we live in a world that is 99% not vegan. It is not easy to be vegan in a world that is not vegan. It is not. If the world was 50% vegan, I don't know how many ex-vegans we would see. It would be easier to stay vegan, not just because of convenience, but because we are social creatures. So when it is more accepted in society, the great majority of people would rather take the more accepted route. It is hard to be, the one that stands out. Even me, as someone that doesn't really mind standing out and someone that doesn't mind being a little bit different, even me, it can be difficult sometimes in a social setting. You know what I mean? So, in my personal opinion, there isn't really a point. I'm not going to say there isn't a point of saying, oh, someone was only plant-based, because there are legitimate cases in which someone was just following a plant-based diet and then they quit, eating a plant-based diet. And of course, it's much easier to change in that case, because if you're just eating a plant-based diet, that's just a diet to you, right? So, not eating a plant-based diet is not gonna, it has nothing to do with ethics. So I think in those cases, fair enough. I think we can talk about that. We can say listen, veganism is more than just a diet. However, if somebody was openly saying that they were ethical vegans, to come out and just say, you are only plant-based, I feel like it's just not really adding anything to the conversation. Humans are not linear, linear, is that the right word? We are not linear creatures. We're not just constantly moving in, one direction. We're always going back and forth, figuring things out, and, unfortunately, because we live in this very unvegan world, and it is still socially kind of weird to be vegan, and it is still seen as a fringe lifestyle, it's not easy for everyone to stay vegan, and that's just the reality of the situation. So let's talk about, okay, how do we make it more, easy to stay vegan? I don't know. I will say though that I do believe that the great majority of people that do quit a vegan lifestyle or a vegan diet are generally people that, again, may not have made that, ethical connection, but like that is true. They appear to have maybe made an ethical connection and they're living a vegan lifestyle, but a lot of them, they were always more health focused. You know what I mean? So I will say that there is some legitimacy to saying that, but also it's not really, again, helpful to the discussion. I'm not hating on anyone that, makes this argument or says this. I'm just saying that I don't agree. So yes, there is such thing, guys, as an ex-vegan. In my opinion, there is such thing as an ex-vegan. Now, how do we make less ex-vegans? I'm not really sure. I think to make less ex-vegans, we gotta make more new vegans. Because again, humans are social creatures. You gotta socialize, guys. If you go vegan and you feel isolated, try to make an effort to connect with other vegans. It's very important. And, be a leader. Host a plant-based potluck with your non-vegan friends. Pick the place that you want to eat. Pick a vegan restaurant. Cook for your friends. The more people have positive associations with veganism, the better. So anyways, moral of the story is humans are evil. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, I'm trying to think of... I did take a few psychology classes in university, and I think this is where I saw like all of these social experiments and, famous like psychological experiments where you see humans just behaving just so terribly because of social pressure. There was like that case of a woman. My God, there was a case of a woman that got killed outside of her apartment, and apparently like no one called the police, even though like there were so many people in that area that heard the encounter. I think, let me find it. Guys, this is like a psychology class, my friends. The murder of Kitty Genovese. Oh my God, guys, I'm so bad at saying names. I would hate to be a teacher and have to like say everyone's name. I would just butcher everyone's name. Anyways, so Kitty. In the early hours of March 13th, 1964, 28-year-old Kitty was stabbed outside the apartment building across the street from where she lived, in an apartment above a row of shops on Austin Street in New York. 2 weeks after the murder, the New York Times published an article claiming that 38 witnesses saw or heard the attack, but none of them called the police or came to her aid. Actually, this may have been debunked. Maybe this was debunked, actually, I don't know. So I think the issue with this was that maybe it wasn't 38 witnesses, because it says here, while there was no question that the attack occurred and that some neighbors ignored cries for help, the portrayal of 38 witnesses as fully aware and unresponsive was erroneous. Okay, so yeah, it may have been debunked a little bit, okay? But I guess the whole point was that this poor woman was being killed and she was crying out, and she lived in an area where there's lots of neighbors, and clearly at least some people heard the cries, but no one did anything. No one called the police, like no one did anything. And this is like cited quite a bit, I think, in psychology classes, to kind of show how humans can behave, again, in like a group setting. So for example, if you're like in a big group of people, then you feel less responsible for something going wrong, for example. And that's just like, again, a part of what we do as humans because we think, oh, someone else is going to take care of it. You know, someone else is going to help. So that's probably what the neighbors were thinking. Maybe they were thinking, I don't want to get involved. Someone else might help. And unfortunately, you know, it led to disastrous, you know, outcomes. But yeah, I think that going vegan kind of made me really cynical about humanity. When I first went vegan, or not even when I first went vegan, but when I first was like introduced to this whole concept of veganism, I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. What's happening to the animals? And even though I was like not fully capable at that time, or thought I wasn't capable at that time to fully go vegan, I totally agreed with the philosophy of everything because it all just made so much sense. Ethically speaking, it made sense. You just couldn't argue it. And I thought, you know, if more and more people hear this, you know, there's no way that people are going to deny the importance of this. There's no way that like most people wouldn't go vegan once they hear this message. But that was a naive way of thinking about humanity, I realized pretty soon after. I was very naive. I hear the neighbors. Anyway. Yeah, when I first discovered, you know, what happens to animals and stuff like that, and the different philosophical arguments for veganism, I was like, this just makes so much sense. Everyone should go vegan. This makes sense. We should all strive to go vegan. And then I realized very soon that most people are really resistant to the idea and that most people just don't care. Yeah, that is the reality. Most people just don't care. And it really kind of made me disheartened. And of course there are people that care, but then they, you know, feel like they can't, which I understand that sentiment because I was on the same page at that point. But some people are just like, that's just the way it is. And I'm like, So yeah, veganism has taught me a lot about humanity. And I don't think people are evil. That's the thing. It's like, I don't think that we're evil. I just think that maybe we're a little naive in thinking that humans are incredibly ethical. Just because we have moral agency doesn't mean that we are moral creatures, really. Let's be honest. We do some of the most damage. No, not some. We do the most damage to planet Earth and to other species and to each other, probably. Even though we are the only ones that claim to have moral agency and that claim to have moral superiority, we still do the most evil as a collective, you know? Well, I mean, think about how many of our own kind that we've killed. You know, how many humans have killed other humans? How many humans have died in the hands of other humans? My God. Anyway, but good news is we are slowly changing, guys. Hopefully it's not too late. Hopefully global warming doesn't ruin us before we come to a point where we can at least live in a somewhat just world. But yeah, it has changed a lot, even the attitudes, even the attitudes toward different social issues compared to, you know, how they were 10, 20 years ago. Attitudes toward, you know, gay people, for example, that has changed significantly in the last 10 years, 20 years. In my lifetime, it has changed significantly since when I was in school. So I feel like there's some hope. Wow, I am a cynical human being. Let's take the last bite. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed eating with me and chatting with me. If there's any other topic you want me to discuss, maybe in the next mukbang, let me know. I actually enjoy talking about veganism because I feel like I have a lot to say about veganism. You know what I mean? This is my life. yeah, if you want me to talk about anything else regarding veganism, maybe not regarding veganism, then let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, follow me on Instagram, of course, and make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe, guys, if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in my next video.